with your weekly class, and welcome everyone who's just joined us a little bit past the hour. Again, just letting you guys know that we have this class ongoing right now, Healing Chronic Cases, and you can sign up for it. There's a link in the question area for you if you want to join us. You're certainly welcome to do that, and you can jump in and get the recording of the first class. So if you have any questions about that, you want to talk to me about it, definitely. You're going to get a whole bevy of new panels to test with, as well as a system for testing. That's where we're evolving to. What is the system? What is the strategy? And that's where our classes are taking us these days. So I really applaud the people who were with me for being a practitioner level 1, and now in our practitioner level 2 class. You don't need to take the first level as a precursor or as a prerequisite, but it is recommended if you can. We're also going to be having our intensive in San Diego, and there's a wonderful hotel right across from our venue, actually the Best Western. If you guys are making hotel arrangements, I booked mine, and that looks like a great hotel. It's like 1 minute from our venue. And the lovely Liza, who's pictured in this picture, she was at the Portland training, is hosting us in San Diego around the Point Loma area. So if you'd like to meet me in person, you'd like an all weekend personal assistance in learning the genius, please come to this class. We're not just going to be doing the very basics. We're going to be getting into new strategies and protocols, how to use the water remedy, creating jewelry that's imprinted, and then very specific protocols for helping the immune system, for helping with common conditions. These are the people who attended last time. Many of them are attending again because they got so much out of it. In fact, Liza, who was in the class, really has been asking me to come to do another one local to her for a long time. So really excited about that. So please make sure that you're signed up for this, because we're probably going to max this class out. We only have 20 spots available, and they're filling up really fast because we have a smaller venue. So definitely sign up for the intensive class. That's going to be Saturday and Sunday, the 28th and 29th of April. If you need to break it into a couple of payments, let me know. We really want you to be there. We're going to have hands-on breakout sessions. You're going to be able to test other people. You're going to get tested. In addition, you're going to meet myself and other people in the community. Ryan is really close to San Diego. He'll probably pop down for a little bit. And this is where you make the friends for life. This is where you connect with other like-minded people who are doing what you're doing, giving you new inspiration and ideas. So definitely come to San Diego. It's a major airport, really easy to get to. This isn't that significantly far from the airport, and then the hotel is really close. So we are going to have a really fun time Saturday and Sunday. There is a free program on Friday night, so if you want to come in, I'm going to be in town by Friday morning, and then on Friday evening we're going to be doing the intro program from 5 to 8 at Liza's office, which is the venue, and then we're going to do all day Saturday and all day Sunday. Okay, so that's that, and then we are going to be doing our Genius Summit online on Facebook, and it's going to be about the second or third week in March, and I'm definitely going to be getting the stronger details this week. It's just been crazy. I've moved into a new location in Portland, so that's also going to be available for private and small group training. So if you can't go to San Diego, or if you want to work with me personally, or if you want to work with me in a smaller group, then you can get in touch with me always. Go to my website, Awaken Total Health, and just hit the Contact Us button. You can ask me any questions. If you want to come in to Portland for personal consultation, if you want to come in for several Genius sessions over a course of days, if you want to come in for a personal all-day training with me, all of those things, just get in touch with me and we can work on all of that. So it's a big year. There's a lot happening. We want to empower you to be a practitioner or really get good at working on yourself and your family. Okay, so we have a couple of volunteers and a question, can you live stream? Let me look into what the cost would be for live streaming, and we'll see if that's possible. It's certainly a great option, and to have it recorded as well. So definitely we'll see what the cost looks like. Thank you, Sherry, for that suggestion. Okay, so we went over the, we're working to get back to the Facebook Lives. I'll keep you posted on that, but we do have the Genius Summit, which is on Facebook coming up in March. We've got the intensive, we've got the practitioner program. So jump in with both feet, you guys, be a part of this community. We love your participation. Now we're going to get into our case for this morning. And there's just a couple more things, you guys. So not events wise, but we are on version 8, you guys. So we're on version 8 of the Genius. Make sure that you're completely updated to the latest version. The other thing about maintaining your Genius that's important is to make sure you're always on the most updated version of your operating system on your device. So make sure that you are on the latest version of iOS or the latest version of Android. That's important. The other thing that's important is to always sync your database. So if you're multitasking right now, make sure you listen to this section. Every day, at the end of the day, it's a good idea to go up to your navigation bar, to go to your, let me just try to remember which one is which, to go to your settings, I believe it is. So go to settings and go to Genie Cloud Sync Database. So you're going to tap on this and it will sync your database. What that does is it's going to send all of your data to the cloud. So you want to do that because you want to make sure that everything you have on your device is backed up to the cloud. I knew I shouldn't have done it in real time. I'm just going to cancel this out, I think, because it's taking too long. Anyway, I knew I shouldn't have done it in real time. But anyway, it should go rather quickly. I'm assuming that's because we're on media and it crashed me out. Okay. That shouldn't really be happening. You know, sorry, I just muted myself. Let me just turn this off for a second. The one thing that I haven't done is I have not updated to the latest version of iOS. So I've been a little bit sluggish in doing that. So let me just get back here. So it just totally knocked everything off. You guys, anytime that you are noticing any kind of a bug in the program, don't hesitate to send it right to our developer, which is Ryan Williams. Look, there's sometimes there are bugs, but Ryan works extremely hard at resolving them. So if there are any bugs, hang on one second, then go ahead and send them to Ryan. I'm going to give you his address. Okay, I was nervous that I wouldn't see these panels here. All right, so let's go rw@quantumhealthapps.com. So please, if you have a bug, if you think that it's not working correctly, send it right to him. It's important that he gets those. And we didn't really have a bug right now. It just took a while for it to. So let me just show it to you one more time. You go up to the navigation bar. These 3 lines at the upper right of your Genius are called your nav bar or your navigation bar. You go up to the upper right here. You go down to, settings, which is here. Right here we go to settings and we see Genie Cloud Sync the Database. If you do not do this on a regular basis, you guys, there's no guarantee that you are backed up to the cloud. Previously, my understanding was we were automatically backed up to the cloud. However, that is not, it turns out not to be the case for reasons I can't get into right now. So on a daily basis or on an every other day basis, make sure you sync. Why? Suppose your iPad explodes or somebody wanders off with it. You will not be backed up to your cloud unless you do this on a regular basis. And this is something I recently learned from Ryan, and I'm just trying to get the word out here. So that's why it's really great that you come and join me weekly so you can get the latest and the greatest. And it's also an opportunity for you guys to ask your questions. So do not hesitate to jump in and ask me any questions that you have about your genius. We often, we're doing more cases here, but especially with your pressing questions, I still will try to jump in and answer your questions as often as possible. You guys, my website is different from Ryan's website, but we both do the same thing. We have the same goals. He's as supportive as my website. So as his website, because we work as a team. So if you want to support me in the work that I'm doing, please send your referrals to my website, awakentotalhealth.com. I do have an affiliate program, so anything you sell on my website can make you 20%. If you sell my platinum program, which is $19.97 with all 200 libraries, you will get $400 or $399.40. So you're more than welcome to peruse my website and use all the resources on here, including the Genius trainings. So today, after our training today, this will be uploaded right here. So you can go right here and you can see all of our past trainings right at the bottom. Here are some of the past training classes being the most recent one. So this is going back, and then of course you can view them on my YouTube channel. Okay, so we've got those. Fantastic. And then my website has a lot of other resources on it, and I do appreciate your referrals either directly to me or sending them to the website or getting signed up for my affiliate program. You can be signed up for both my affiliate program and Ryan's. And I know that's a little confusing, but that way, no matter where they go, you'll always have a connection. Here's the link to my affiliate program. Okay, so we talked about the syncing. That was really, really important. And let's just briefly answer your questions. We'll get into our case. And I appreciate Grace volunteering today for the case that we're going to talk about. And I think it's going to be a good one. It's a good, really chronic case. So we'll get her voice recording perhaps in a moment. And I'm going to get to your questions. I want to just pull up what she told me to see about what's going on with her. All right. Do you have an instruction sheet for the Rife frequencies? Can't figure out how to use it. Now, Sherry, are you talking about the Rife program, or are you talking about the Rife frequencies on the Genius? Let's get a little bit from Grace. We're going to be doing her case. So Grace is, let's just say she's over 50, since I'm not good at math on the fly here. So over 50, I like to say the age range somebody's in. Sorry, little allergies myself here. Okay, I've been sick with allergies and very severe and acute asthma for years. I watch my diet like a hawk. So let's talk about that. She's very good about her diet, but is her digestion good? I never really had any serious health problems until I went to El Centro, California, the Imperial Valley. Oh, I wonder if Sherry's on today. Sherry from, I think from Chico, because she could probably jump in. Yeah, she is. So she could probably jump in and also concur with this, where they sprayed from the plains every pesticide and herbicide. After 5 months of continuous breathing problems, I was hospitalized for 5 days and left the area as the doctor said if I stayed, I would die. It has been a very stubborn problem. As much as I try, I cannot get off of Advair. It seems impossible. By the way, my mother suffered from intense sinus problems, and my father was an asthmatic, which seemed to run sometimes on his side of the family. Okay, so fantastic. So it's a really excellent case. And so we're going to get Grace's voice, and we also just want to get her if she wants to add anything to the program. But this is what we're talking about in the healing chronic cases, you guys. We really, I've been sort of chewing on this for a really long time, and that's what healing chronic cases is about, is how can we look at a case and really get to the root cause? And I've come up with two really important pieces that we're focusing on in our class, which is, one is the digestive system. And even if people tell you their digestion is good, when you test it, it's probably going to be some things that you can really help them with, both with informing them about what good digestion is, what good digestion practices are, and also just giving them feedback, because we can see even without the voice imprint, we've got this 4. This digestion doesn't look fantastic. And anytime you have something like an inflammatory process, it always goes back to the digestive system. There's so many things connected to the digestive system. It is amazing. So if we can find out what she's missing about assessing her own digestive system and help her, could make a big difference. And probiotics are always fantastic, because the better you make that gut bacteria, the better you make the person. You help them to produce better hormones, to modulate their inflammatory histamines and so forth. There's so many things you can help them with. And the other thing is the emotional aspect. And there are several pieces that we have to break down. I was taking some notes and creating this algorithm yesterday. We have to look at what they're telling themselves, what they tell themselves about the past, what the emotional charge is, and then we need to enact and create an action plan to help them to change it. And time travel is one of the pieces that we've talked about, and we're going to get to that. But this piece about the past, the charge is still there when she was sick. Even if the respiratory piece isn't still affecting her, the thoughts about it and the charge about it are affecting her. And no doubt, who wouldn't it affect, and who wouldn't be thinking that that's still there and affecting her? But we want to sort of switch that, which we'll get to. So let me just zip back here to the beginning, and hopefully our genders won't change again. They might, so we'll have to be patient here. So I have to go back to the beginning. I have to turn this off for a second. Sorry, I just don't like to reveal the exact date of birth if I can avoid it. And then there we go. Okay, so let's just see. Okay, Grace, I'm going to unmute you for a second, so get ready for that. Hi, Grace, how are you?
Oh, good.
Well, I'm so excited. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before I record your voice?
Well, I also, I'm older. I did tell you I do have a post-traumatic stress thing. I have been treated, matter of fact, kind of similar to what you're talking about in going back in time, but it is still a problem. I do hormone therapy replacement, bioidentical. It's this poor body is, taking a beating through the years. I had asthma so bad I still have to take some steroids that it actually shrunk my adrenal glands. So when I hit menopause, nothing, it was bad. My adrenals weren't working to even make those hormones that other women can make. So that's the other, part of it. Do you want me to record my voice now?
Well, I wanted to just observe a couple of things. And the first one is your spirit. You have such a resilient spirit. Do you feel that as well?
I do. And, I do feel hopeful about this. And I haven't the Northwest has been actually pure hell for me. I have not been able to get out of here. It's like I am forced to do something about this. I even live in another farming community.
What do you mean the Northwest? You mean the Northwest of Massachusetts?
No, I'm not in Massachusetts. I'm in Washington State.
Oh, you're the other Grace. I wonder if I'm even working on the right person here then. I'm thinking of I'm thinking of our wonderful Grace in Massachusetts. You are the Grace that's up near Spokane, and then we have still another Grace that's in Oklahoma. So we have a lot of Grace in the Genius community.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so that's interesting. But that was your history that I read, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and I even moved to where I am now because I really could not live in Seattle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I
So
had
what
to
was
go
the,
drier.
okay, well, that gives me a different perspective. My goodness, I'm glad we clarified that. For heaven's sake, you're the one who you do some real estate work and so forth,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, that basically is, I think, not in the program anymore for whatever reason. Things seem to be shifting.
Hmm.
So,
Well,
so I'm
that's
hoping
interesting.
maybe that
Mhm.
insight in some capacity will be in the future in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you sound really, really strong, um, which is good. And you do sound like you have a very resilient spirit, which is actually a common theme around amongst all the graces that we've worked with. But that said, what was the sort of regression or other work that you did to help you with this respiratory issue?
Um, well, I take some conventional medicine, Advair. I used to use Sunrider products
No, no.
that actually.
What was the time travel work that you did?
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. I did have to go to therapy for post-traumatic stress. I mean, I had it so
Okay,
bad when I was, it just was, people don't understand it until you go through it. Had a
sure.
very good therapist. We
Oh,
did some work similar to what you're talking about. I traveled back. I actually created what are called inner resources. I think everyone could use this. And I took my inner resources that I created. For instance, one of mine was Orthon. He's a spaceman from
oh,
Venus.
okay. All right. A little bit different. That's not what I really want to focus on for the moment. I did want to just see if the
Yeah,
time travel work is a little bit different from what I'm
it
talking about. But
yeah,
that's great. Let me get your voice recording so we don't sort of go
yeah,
too much out of
yeah.
the realm of where we want to focus on. So
Oh,
I'm going to go ahead
okay.
and cue you, and I'll just go ahead and record your
Yeah.
voice
All
in
right.
3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
AEIOU, Grace Summer. AEIOU, Grace Summer. AEIOU, Grace.
Okie dokie. Okay, perfect. So Grace, I may bring you back here in a little bit to ask you some more questions, but for now, fantastic.
Yeah, sorry about the other. That was just a technique that was used. You took
Oh,
inner
there's
resources.
no
Yeah.
worries. We don't want to get too far afield, but fantastic.
No.
No, it's good.
Okay. All
All right,
right.
thank you. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, what a delight. She's really, really, that's great. So, let me just think for a second now. I think I have the wrong, what do I have here? Let me just turn this off for a second. All right. All right, I just have to take one thing. Hang on, you guys, I'm gonna be right back here. Okay, so let's now go to here, and we have to get on the right person, the right energy here. Okay, so there we go. Now there was a question from Bonnie. Bonnie asked about how did you get to the Healing Chronic Cases page? So let me go over that. And I didn't really get to welcome everyone, just really, really quickly. Just warm welcome to Claire, join us from the UK. Elfie is here. Gigi, so good to have you. Hope you can join us for that veterinary talk. We'll check in with you a bit more. Karen from Canada is here. So good to have you. Liza, that's so great that she's on today. Heard me talking about her and the class. Sherry is here from California, and Vivian is joining us from the UK, and hopefully William and Mary Lee are here as well. That's really, really great. Okay, so system overview, let's take a quick look. We see sensitivities. We see body systems, today's stress, spinal energy, neurotransmitters, brain anatomy, emotional. So a lot of these things, spiritual protection, interesting. So there's brain and also just overall body systems, but sensitivities really jumps out at me because I am thinking chronic digestive issues when I'm thinking about any type of respiratory or long-term sort of allergic response. There probably is a toxicity issue, but there definitely feels like there's an overarching, continued peeling of the layers around emotions. So this is not maybe my favorite sensitivities panel because it's a bit confusing, and I wish that the developer would take the everything that's not a food out of this. But what can you do? It's there. So we've got some gluten, soy, mold, chocolate. So I think when we go back to talk to Grace again, when she says she watches, in fact, Grace, you can just write it down in the chat section. It'll be more time efficient. When you say you watch your diet like a hawk, just give us an idea of some of the best foods and some of the places where you feel like you could do better. And that will just give me some perspective. So let's now go back to that healing chronic cases area. So let's just go to the libraries here. So these are special libraries that come with the healing chronic cases class. And we just need another quick second here. All right, there we go. So let's go up to healing. All right, and these are the healing chronic cases. And the one that I really want to look at is the digestive system. So let's just see what's going on with the digestive system. I try to get these more sophisticated every single time. Now, one thing that's really weird about this morning that I'm noticing is I'm just not getting a lot of red at all. I'm getting very, very small numbers of things in the 700s. That either means that the algorithm has changed. I don't think that that's the case. And what it usually means is that there's more deficiency in the person than excess. Now, I heard a lot of good vital force in Grace's voice, but I'm getting more depleted or deficient readings, more compression. So definitely think about what it feels to have asthma. There's a feeling of compression on the lungs. There's like a closing down. There's not like an expansiveness. The lungs are the way that we interact with the outer world. It is literally that place where our inner self, where we interact with the air, but also people around us. So if our relationships are not what we, feel are the highest potential for us in some way, if there are issues, then the lungs may be affected in some way. And certainly if there's a past piece to that. So lungs, very important. Also lungs, of course, the seat of grief, any past grief, and lungs are paired with large intestine. So we do see some colonic congestion. It's interesting, if you get a colonic after the colonic, you might remark, gosh, it's almost like I can breathe easier. Now, of course, there's the abdominal piece. Even your abdominal area could be cleared out, but there's definitely an energetic lung connection as well. So let's just talk about some of these as we go down here. We've got gallbladder congestion, mycotoxin exposure in food. Grace says she doesn't eat gluten. I may get small grains from my husband who does. Don't know about that. Mostly veggies, nuts, small portions of organic meats. Very allergic to soys and grains. All right, so we'd have to sort of dig deeper into that. What I can tell you for sure, you guys, what I've observed over time is that when someone, anyone, it could be me, it could be Grace, it could be anyone, is saying that they watch their diet like a hawk, but they're still not better, there's something in the diet that isn't working for them. 9 times out of 10, there is a significant piece in what they're doing that we find we have to continue to develop it. We have to continue to tweak it. So if somebody's vegan, they don't eat any meat, they might need a small amount of meat. I'm totally plant-based myself, but it's always like we have to ask the person, what is not working and what could make this work? So if they eat nuts and seeds, do we need to eliminate that for a while? If they eat meat, do we need to eliminate that? What do we need to and maybe we'll bring other stuff in. We're not going to try to eliminate everything. But I guess, Grace, do you eat any oils? Do you eat any vegetable oils? Do you eat any coconut oil? Tell us about that. That's important. So let us hear if you always have organic foods. Tell us about that. So I think we're dealing with two pieces. I still think the trauma is sort of wanting to be discharged and cleared in, in layers, and we have to figure out how to do that. So one of the techniques, just really, really quickly, that is really important, we're just not going to have time to dive too deeply into this, is the thing that hit me the most in reading Grace's story. She's been very sick with allergies and severe acute asthma for years. That is definitely something that we need to do a digestive cleanse on, guaranteed. So the Northwest intensified it. Now I understand why the Northwest intensified it, because you're in the Pacific Northwest. But the other thing that really struck me was when she said that, what was the thing that happened? I was hospitalized for 5 days and left the area. So that's what, there's so many things we can time travel back to, but that's one of the things. And a time travel is a visualization. So if you're comfortable with it, if you've processed that experience enough, you actually want to go back and visualize it like it had never happened. So you want to go back to that time and place, and literally whatever the precursor was to being in the hospital, you want to imagine that it never, sort of relive it as if it never happened, and relive those 5 days as if you were never in the hospital. You want to reframe it so that you don't keep going back to that experience, because right now you keep reaching back to it, and that charge is still playing into your experience. So I can't get into it in too much detail, but there's a very, very important things to look at, which is what was happening in the month leading up to that experience. And then sort of look at your life. What were the emotional conflicts, the relationship conflicts? What was the, did you move somewhere? What happened? And you want to go back and relive that time as if it never happened, and forgive all the people who are involved. And then you go back and you live those 5 days in your mind's eye as if that whole thing hadn't happened, or in a better way, like you went into the hospital and you were immediately released. You went into the hospital and they had the cure waiting there for you, or you went for some other intervention and it miraculously resolved the issue. Everything that you do in the waking state, the sleeping state, the dreaming state, the imagination state is in some way all the same. We keep reaching back to our history and pulling that energetically into our present. So we must go back, and if we're ready to, if we feel like we've processed it enough, if we chewed over it enough, if we've gotten all that we can out of reliving the experience, then let's go back and let's actually reimagine it as if we could create what we wanted. So we see it, we find the perfect solution, we find the resolution, or we don't experience what created it in the first place. So those are some sort of teasers around the whole time travel experience. But the more she tells the story, the more she expands on it, then it increases the vibrational quality. It increases the, it's like the record groove, and it keeps playing the record groove and making it deeper and deeper and deeper. And so it can't not come into our present experience. It just, because, but as soon as she's like, you know what, I've gone over that enough, I've gotten everything I can out of it, I'm ready to forgive the doctors, I'm ready to forgive myself, I'm ready to forgive the land in the Pacific Northwest and all the people who sprayed all the pesticides. And now when I see it, I'm not the same affected by the pesticides. I may be a little bit affected. I go to the alternative physician. They give me the perfect remedy. My lungs just clear completely. I breathe perfectly. And I don't ever have this issue again. Now, it sounds fantastical. It sounds fantasy, but the more that you revision that history for you, and you have to be okay with, yes, I've got all of this. I must have had the experience for some reason in the past. I got all that I needed out of that experience, and now I'm going to create it the way that I would have wished it to be. So the more that you impress that into your consciousness, the more you're going to stop pulling on that past vibration and bringing it into your present. So at this juncture, even though it even seems like it was important for us to understand today, the more she tells the story, the more significant the experience. So there's a bit of a balance there. She has to tell it until she's done with the process of telling it, and then the release and the forgiveness starts to come. So that's a big piece of it. There's definitely emotional charge here. Now, if you didn't know any of that and you just use the flower essences, it would still make a profound difference. So we want to make sure we use our flower essences in every case, and we'll get to that. But there's definitely some work to be done here in the digestive system. So we see all of these frequencies, and they're all lower. We don't have a lot of higher frequencies. There is some leaky gut. There is some reflux. So those are all very important to consider. And we can also look at the, not quite done with this one, but this is kind of an interesting one just to take a glance at. This is our global causative factors. And I'm actually adding to this. So there's going to be significantly more than what you see here now. But again, I'm trying to take those chronic cases. What do we need to know so that we can go back? You know, the forest for the trees. We're gonna back out, and we're gonna look at this globally. What is the biggest thing? There's a life path conflict that she's facing. So we want to ask her, is there something in your life, on your life path, that you're in, currently clearing a conflict about? We always want to make it positive, because we always want to imply that they're in the process of working it out or resolving it in order to support them, not to shame them or, in any way like, what are you doing wrong or anything like that. We always want to bring it into the positive. There are some EMFs that are affecting her, it seems. There's a limiting belief system. Now, the limiting belief system is really easy, you guys, to start to touch on. We have 1,000 limiting belief systems in the course of a day, at least. So try to just ask them, like, what is one tiny belief system that you think might be limiting you from helping to resolve this issue? What is one tiny little limiting belief system? And it might be something like, well, nothing that I ever try is going to resolve this because I've had it for so long. And who would blame her for feeling that? So nothing I'm ever going to do is going to make this better. We don't have to really resolve the belief system. We just have to name it. And the minute that we name it, the one that's true for her, it starts discharging of its own accord because we brought it into the light. Then we could create a personal affirmation for her, which is sort of the opposite, right? Turning it around. So I'm never going to find the solution for this. We can turn that around to, I'm going to find the solution right now. I'm going to find the solution in the next 5 seconds that's going to resolve this. And it sounds kind of funny and improbable, but we want to play with that energy because that's the energy we need to invite into this environment. It's the miracles, it's the miraculous, improbable things that we're really looking for, because that's our truth. Our truth is a truth of miracles. Our truth is something of sudden turnarounds, of being able to resolve things quickly. We just haven't really truly brought that into our consciousness yet. So water quality, toxic exposure environment, going into the 200s, but methylation issue, we're going to get to all of that in our class. So helpful probiotics, let's just look at those. Interesting, the fusobacterium. Okay, So the bifidobacterium for clearing inflammation, streptococcus, lactobacillus. So we want to also write those down. So we have a form for recording some of those. And then we want to make sure that we do our flower essences. That's really important because we want to look at some of the meanings of the flower essences. So we'll bring those in and we'll look at those. So, and then we want to look at the respiratory system. These are all from the custom libraries that I've created. If you're interested in the custom libraries and you want to know more about them, just send me a message. Go to awakentotalhealth.com and just send me a message. I want more information about these libraries, and I'll send you some information about how to make that part of what you're doing. So we do have a whole respiratory piece in here, and one of the most important pieces we came up with recently is the miasmic piece. Now, one of the things you need to know is that there's a very important miasm, which is an inherited susceptibility, and this is the tuberculinic miasm. And the tuberculinic miasm is from the tuberculosis, right? It's handed down through ancestry. The thing about the tuberculinic miasm is it does give people a genetic predisposition to have more lung conditions, and it has a whole host of other qualities that are very, very interesting, including the loss of minerals, difficulty in maintaining mineralization, which could mean bone density issues. So we have to clear things at a miasmatic level in order to often to clear these. So if there is a tuberculinic miasm in here, it's not a strong resonance, but let's put it in here anyway. And then clearing the miasm itself could be very, very effective. Now she does need to strengthen her lungs, and that's an interesting structural piece that she can do. I've actually mentioned this before, that you can use a breathing mask. And for example, Kendra, you sent me that message and I sent that back to you. So a breathing mask is something that athletes use, but it causes some resistance when you're breathing. So if you wear it while you're doing a brisk walk, or if you're doing your exercise bicycle at home or a treadmill, and you put the breathing mask on, it will begin to strengthen your lungs. And you can also do this through yogic breathing, but this would go a long way. Now it's probably hard for her to do it because it probably brings up the asthma, but if she can strengthen the lungs to any degree, it will help her tremendously. The other thing we do is we analyze the lung anatomy itself, and we allow the places where the lungs are not strong to present themselves so that we can run the harmonizing frequencies. So all of these things, the alveolar ducts, this is getting down to the actual exchange of air, the thyroid cartilage because it's kind of in the area, the lung surfectant, what helps the lungs to move more easily and to be very flexible, the left superior lobe, the right inferior lobe. What we do is we shine a light on the specific places where the lungs are not what we want them to be, and then we run that harmonizing energy. Then I just wanted to see if there's really need a better respiratory conditions piece here. So yeah, this is more infection. It does seem to be exposure to mold, which is nearly impossible to avoid in the Pacific Northwest. There is a virus. It seems like there may be some heavy metal fibers. Dendrocera is a really good remedy to help the lungs when there is an acute issue, maybe a chronic virus as well. So let's just see if there's anything else that we really need to look at. We've got some herbal solutions there. Let's just see if there's anything else that's really good. So I need to remember to do sort of an asthma panel and other respiratory conditions. We really just did infections when we did that initial class. Licorice is interesting because it's really good for infections, you guys. Almost every Chinese medicine TCM formula has some type of licorice in it. And licorice is really good for cortisol for your adrenals. And so she may be low cortisol. Her low cortisol from the chronic PTSD may be really suppressing her immune system and making her adrenals imbalanced. So this could help to balance the adrenals, but also will help to work out any type of chronic infection. And then ginger is good for increasing circulation. Just by the voice, I almost get the impression Grace is more of a kapha, and I'm not sure, but there may be some need to sort of increase the circulation that could help as well. So now let's go into the progressive insights and find out, of all the information we talked about, what is the most important for us to focus on, both energetically, but in our thinking about the case. And that's why this is really, really important. Always do your progressive insights. Your progressive insights is your piece that gives you the aha moment in the case. This is what tells you what you need to know about the case overall, because you can find out all of this information, but you have to retest it. And you have to say, for the energy field today, what is the most important? If you hit the highest themes, you guys, then everything else will fall into place. We don't need to balance every single thing. We need to balance the important things, or harmonize, as I try to always correct myself. We need to harmonize the important things. So in the flower essence, beach is for those who feel the need to see more good and beauty in the world that surrounds them. And although much appears to be wrong, to have the ability to see good growing within. So as to be able to be more tolerant, lenient, and understanding of the different way each individual and all things are working out to their own perfection. So this is really, really good. This, then we say to the person, is there any little wisp of truth to that piece for what's going on for you right now? And they can say yay or nay. It doesn't really matter. They may not realize it at a conscious level. And if it really doesn't match what's going on with them, we never argue with them. We just say, okay, no worries. That's okay. We just move on. And you want to write down that beach, because you're going to go back and you can include that in your water remedy at the end. So the right middle lobe is an area of weakest point. That might be where the asthma takes place. A toxic exposure environment. So getting an air purifier like the one that we've talked about could be very, very good. Also, treating at the tuberculinic miasm. This might be one thing you want to single imprint into your remedy, into your water remedy, because it's so significant. Or you could actually get the tuberculinic homeopathic from like a naturopath at the 1M level. There is a methylation issue. That's something we're going to be continuing to explore in the chronic issues class. Alveolar ducts. So again, these are defining the areas of the lungs which are weak. Don't you think that's important? And then the colonic congestion. So getting a colonic will no doubt help the toxicity level, help to clear the liver. Liver and digestion, you guys, you got a chronic issue. If you just work on the liver and the colon, you will get better. She's definitely avoid soy and gluten, which is really, really good, but we still have to heal the leaky gut. So there are a bunch of other things here. Insulin sensitivity, vegetable oil. I don't know if she has the vegetable oil. So let's go ahead and play some of those frequencies. There really weren't any, sorry, stop it again. There weren't any other sort of, that flower essence is really the top one. I mean, we really don't even get down, maybe we get down to willow. It probably doesn't have as much bang as the beach is really the #1 remedy there. Okay, so let's just go to the questions here for a minute. All right. So I have to stop it again. She'll use olive oil for meat, and I would suggest discontinuing that. No vegetable oil. Oh boy, I have the really great. I'm going to have to bring it for next class, you guys. I have an amazing visual for circulation, and they show the circulation in the eye before consuming vegetable oil and then after consuming vegetable oil, and the circulation in the eyes is severely impaired after consuming vegetable oil. Okay, Mary Ann says, I love working on that time travel piece. That's wonderful. Okay. So, and Grace says she's very EMF sensitive. Remember that came up in the global causes section. I don't even put my hands on the laptop. I use a separate keyboard plugged in. It causes heat in my hands. So she has to use a plug-in keyboard. All right, that's really amazing. If we are in the course, do we get the Healing Chronic Cases panels? Yes, and Sharon, I sent yours to your the Moss, I think you'll know which one I'm talking about, email, but just send me a message if you think you haven't gotten them and I'll forward that to you. Thank goodness now I'm CC'd in all of my panel exports and I can forward them to you, but I did export them last week. So yes, you get all of those healing panels. Some of them you may not have received yet because I've been working on really getting them out and getting them better. So you will receive them this week. I have a mask that I got for the fires. Wonder if it would work. Oh no, you need to, I'll talk to you. You don't want to use that. You want, I'll see if I can show one on the screen here. We're just going to go a few minutes over, you guys, if you can hang in there. Why I left Seattle, couldn't take the mold anymore. And is olive oil vegetable oil? Yes, it is vegetable oil. So I know a lot of people are very, very connected to there. Let me just see if I can do this at the same time. Breathing to using oil, and the industry for oil is ridiculous. They want you to believe that you cannot live without oil. That is totally ridiculous. One of my biggest inspirations has been Chef AJ. If you go to her Eat Unprocessed website, she eats 0 fats because she gets essential fatty acids from all the vegetables that she eats. So the kind of training mask we're looking at, don't want to really advertise Walmart here. Obviously, it's pretty easy to get. The one that I use, like when I'm working out, it's not exactly this one, but it's similar enough. They're all the same concept. Let's just go ahead and undo this here. So this is what it looks like. This is what you want. What happens is these little plastic pieces here provide resistance when you have this over your nose and mouth area. And so you have to breathe more deeply with, against the resistance. And you could just do it when you're on a treadmill. You don't have to be, an Olympic athlete to do this. But I'll tell you what, when I do it for 5 or 10 minutes, you guys, it is incredible because all of a sudden your body feels very, very oxygenated. So I feel wonderful afterwards because you're finally getting that deep level of perfusion and you're training the lungs to work better. So Grace, if you can do that without triggering an asthma attack, I really, really, I wholeheartedly recommend that. And by the way, one herb, I don't know if it came up in the respiratory solutions that we do definitely recommend is Kella, K-H-E-L-L-A, for lung conditions like asthma. Kella, I don't know if you've probably used it. A lot of times when I recommend something like that, people will say, oh, I've tried it a million times, it didn't work. And that's because we have all these other issues. We're trying to deal with the emotions, the time travel, the gut stuff. But Omnibusine, Kella, is really, really good for chronic lung conditions, including asthma, and you just take it on a regular basis. So you could look for that one. The Chinese always did a formulation, you guys. In Western herbs, we're kind of silly because we think like it's a one-off. We can just give one herb. So we need to get better about formulating in our Western herbal medicine, but you can read about Omnibusine. That may end up being a helpful herb for her. I didn't get to test it. So, okay, so let's just wrap all of this up in a bow here. Let's see. Okay, let's unmute Grace to get her last words if she's still on here, and then we'll wrap it up for today. If you have any final burning questions, you guys, please let me know. Please make sure that you take the time to sync your device today. Make sure you sync your device today. Make sure that you update to the latest version of iOS or Android, and be sure to update your Genius. You have to sort of take care of all of those things, you guys. It's a bit of a maintenance thing, but it is really important. Now, all of these, all you guys used to be alphabetical here. Now you're not. Okay, here we go. Okay, Grace. So was there anything that you resonated with that came up in the testing?
Absolutely. I think it really was very accurate. And I learned a lot. The one last herb you mentioned, no, I have never heard of it. I have never tried it. I've actually gone to Chinatown and gotten, they've made up herbs for me. They worked for a bit. One time I did have a very bad reaction, but I think this has pretty much hit it right on the nose, and especially even the tuberculosis. My father years ago mentioned to me they thought that maybe his asthma had something to do with tuberculosis, but they, it wasn't showing, but they thought it could be connected, which I never even thought about.
Excellent.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
and they always told me I would never heal. Sometimes I think doctors, they don't know it, but they're actually practicing a kind of black magic against their patients.
Absolutely.
It gets into your brain because there's such an authority figure that you will never heal, that you will always be on asthma medicine and you will always be sick.
So these are yeah. So you've mentioned, and I love it when somebody like yourself that's really 100% on board for their own healing is able to so well verbalize two important pieces. So what I would like you to do for the next week is to do that time travel exercise, and I will send you some more specific instructions. But what you just said was one of the most critical aspects. So I want you to now imagine the doctors at that moment, that you see the most caring, intelligent doctors that you would have liked on your team, and that they're looking right at you in the eyes and saying, you can heal this right now. You will have the solution.
Okay, I will work on that. I know this stuff works, Ariel. I did refer to my one inner resource that I created.
Oh, good.
I was getting migraines so bad I couldn't function from the sinus stuff. And I also, when I do the insight, I put theta in, because theta is theta is that state in between consciousness and falling asleep. And to me, that's a very magical time. That inner resource, I didn't even call it in, came in and filled me with light, and I have not had a migraine since then. So I know this stuff works. It's just this other stuff that's kind of blocking that.
Yeah. So see the doctors as coming in at that moment, and that this never even happened, that they gave you maybe a secret magical incantation, or they gave you something in a tincture bottle and they just handed it to you, and you looked at it and you took a drop of it under your tongue, and your issue was completely resolved. You just had the strongest, most incredible lungs for the rest of time going forward. And it's just you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen from this, but I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it 100 times if I need to. And then just see what happens. What do you feel? The most important barometer is, what do you feel in your body when you do it? And people often are like, wow, I can feel that in my stomach. I feel my spine changing. Something's happening when they're doing this silly little visualization. And of course, the belief system, continue to reinforce the belief system, which is, I always have the solution. The solution, like the ruby glass slippers, it's always been with me. I've always had the solution. I've always known the solution. That's the belief system that we want to clear.
Yeah. I will be working on that. I'll take all these notes from this when you put it on YouTube and go through it too. This has been very helpful, Ariel. I saw this on YouTube through Karen, this insight, and it didn't quite click, because it seems like nothing has helped me. And I feel already I've gotten better. I have to tell you, I've had arthritis too. And this, I usually take colloidal gold for it. My last batch of colloidal gold tasted awful. I won't use this company again, I don't think. And that I haven't been using it this winter. And I just realized the other day, I haven't had any arthritis in my hands. I haven't, awesome. And I think it's the insight.
Yeah.
I do, and that's what it decided to work on first.
Yep. It always goes to the most important thing. Well, it's been an absolute delight having you as a volunteer today. So thank you, and we'll keep in touch by email and maybe hear how you're doing next week.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ariel. This has been really helpful. I got some hope.
Yay, that's the most important ingredient. Okay, Grace, blessings and love. Talk to you soon.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was wonderful. So what a wonderful person to have, working with us today, and great volunteer. And you can volunteer too. If we didn't get to you today, then send me a message, and I try to put you at the front of the line for next week. So just send me a message and say, I really want you to work on me next week. I'll be there. And just send me the information, just like Grace did. She did a great summary of what her issue was. She told us in her prioritization that I read to you what her biggest blockage was and where we needed to go to. So it was a wonderful session, and I want to thank all of you. Everyone today, just go to the website awakentotalhealth.com and see some of the things we have offered there, or send me just go ahead to awakentotalhealth.com and just hit contact us, and just send me galore, like all the things you want to ask about or know, or any questions, or if you want to jump on and have a chat. So thank you, everyone, and thanks, Karen, for introducing Grace to the Genius, and thank you all for the wonderful work that you do. I'm sending you much love and appreciation and great, great abundant energy for your week. I'll see you back here next week at the same time, Mondays, 9 o'clock Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern. Have a great day, everyone. Take care and be well. Bye-bye for now.